Good evening. How is everyone this evening? Can anyone hear me? That is the next question. Hey, excellent. Good evening, folks. Evening, Mr. T-Pims. Yeah, weekend's been pretty good so far. You see all good? Excellent. Thank you, Red Raven. Hey Bjorn, how you doing? Good to see you. So what is everyone working on this evening? Hey Lurch, good to see you. We've got Dale as well there. Hello there, Dale. See if we can just set this up a little bit better so that you're not seeing quite so much of that one. Sound, that'll do. Ah, no problem. Popping by to say hello is always good. So if you can pop by and say hello, that is sound. If you can't, that's not a problem either. Yay, Orc boys, good man. Right, what should we work on this part today? Orc skin, that's what we were working on, wasn't it? I'll slide this wet palette in so you can see what the palette's doing as well. Is it a late dinner for you, Bjorn? Hey Jono, good to see you. Well played, Alice. Procrastination is the key. Just while you got people here, Bjorn Svenson, he runs the Wrath and Ruin Twitch stream, so if you're on Twitch and you sometimes watch Twitch streams, worth giving Bjorn a look. Nice chatter about hobby stuff. And Jono does YouTube videos and does battle reports and things like that, which is ace because I don't get to play much, so the battle reports are always handy for me when I'm catching up. And Alice in Cosplayland does different cosplays based on anime stuff and is really sound, as one of my good mates in real life. So I recommend following all of these folks. I was going to ask about that, Bjorn. The weather up here was absolutely horrific. We had some insane hail and rain throughout the day. I kind of briefly felt sorry for you doing the training out in the rain and the hail. Okie dokie, we can up the volume. That is not a problem. Let's see if we move the mic as well. How's that? Is the volume for that a little bit better, Raven? May well be me talking into the miniature and looking down while I'm talking. What cosplays have you got working on at the moment, Alice? Ah, cool. Cheers, Raven. Thank you very much. Oh, turn the field into a bog. Gutted, man. Gutted. Well, hopefully there isn't too much more of that for you on your training days. Bjorn does some reenactment stuff. He's not got too much on his YouTube channel, well, from last time when I went on there, but he does some excellent reenactment stuff as well. And there is some dead interesting videos on there, firing arrows at chainmail and stuff like that. And he does reenactments, which is dead cool and looks ace in all his kit. So it is worth having a look at his Twitch stream, because he sometimes breaks out some bits for that. And also on Instagram, Alice in Cosplayland, you've got Wrath and Ruin, which is Bjorn. You have Iron Cobra, which is Stuart, who you can see there, who's also my pal in real life, who collects blood angels. So there may well be one kicking about on this base once I finish this one. And Alice in Cosplayland is also on Instagram too, so if you're on Instagram and you fancy following any of those two, they are all good people. Yeah, this is for the tournament at the end of February, Stu. It's part of the little orc contingent, because me and Chris were both going to go orcs, and then they said you couldn't have the same faction keyword for each player in the tournament, like in the doubles. So we decided that I was going to go the orcs and he was going to keep it green. And he's using his salamanders, so we've got salamanders and death skulls who are going to be working side by side for the tournament, which should be quite fun. Sorry, Stu, I couldn't resist that. I do it all the time. It's anyone who I play against, I always try and fit some sort of corpse of their miniatures on the base as a little sly dig. Let's see, what colour do we need next for this? We're not going to go with moot green, because that would be crazy bright. Warboss green, here we go. Ah, no worries, Raven. Nice to see you here for a bit. Well, which have you decided on what Eldar it is yet, Alice? He's working on Genshin Impact, but you know, I'm planning another Eldar soon, which is always cool. Bjorn with Stu there. The Blood Angels are the only true Space Marine chapter. Hold. Stu says, I have a Eldar helmet on at least one base, much to Alice's dismay. See, it's got to be done. It has, like, my one of my dreadnoughts for the Sons of Horus has got a Imperial Fists veteran corpse on the base, and that's solely down to our pal Mike, who plays Imperial Fists in 30k. In fact, I've actually got a Imperial Fist on the base of something else that I've done recently. I can't remember what that was for the life of me. Genius does have yellow Space Marine helms to ref. My likes yellow boys, but he doesn't know. Oh, bless. Next time we all game together, there's going to be an array of Imperial fists on all those bases. So this guy, the initial colour that was using on the skin was War Flesh. Now we've gone on to Warboss Green to add the next layer. So ball conversion holding marine spine with the head intact. Ah, that's great. That is superb. So if they're saying, saw a baller conversion holding a marine spine with head intact instead of a rat head. I was actually looking to get that miniature and do something similar with it because it's a cracking miniature, that. It's also great if you were Oryx and you had a mate who played Skaven. You'll quite happily just feel that guy in the army and know that you're ribbing your mate because he's holding that nice little Skaven head. So what do we think for the mechanical parts on this guy? You have all the ribs and the spine and his arm and half his head as well. Do you think I should do it like a nice shiny metal like the Model Air Chrome? Or should I just do it as weathered and battered colours, sort of like a Iron Hand steel? Hey there, Ali. Good to see you. Hope you're having a good night so far. So yeah, the choice is nice and shiny like a Terminator from the films, or dull and weathered like Orc stuff tends to be. So if you think either of them would look better, just sing out in those comments so I know. So has anyone been liking the looks of the new Custodes Codex? Or the Steeler Cults Codex? Noticed that they were on pre-order today, I think. Okay, so that's 2 votes for the Orcs Can't Be Shiny. Cheers, Jono. Cheers, Alice. Very, very true. I'll save the shiny ones for those Space Marines who have half the head missing and the metal replacement on one side. It's nice, that, isn't it? This is all down to, I had a motorbike years ago and it had I don't know if it was Brembo shocks on it, and the shocks were gold at the top with obviously the shiny metal tube poking out the bottom, and ever since then any hydraulic on any miniature always has that kind of goldish brassish kind of colour for those parts of the hydraulics, and that is literally every miniature that I do, from Titans to Dreadnoughts to Orcs. It's the only colour that looks right as some sort of pneumatic for me. Yeah, that's it. You don't really need that many miniatures to do the Custodes army. Custodes armour. That's me thinking about the gold armour then, because I love painting gold. But yeah, you don't need too many miniatures for that, so it is a good army to get if you're not into too many miniatures. Quite an elite force, some really cool looking characters. And if you're looking to paint them, there's a rather nice tutorial on the channel. There's going to be a short video of doing the blades for the halberd type weapons, because I do those slightly different to how I do the power weapons for everyone else. I think this brush is coming to the end of its days here. It's going to become another one of the ones that ends up being used for anything and everything, because I'm kind of losing the point a little bit on this one. What is in that combat patrol box? Is there many miniatures in it? Let's have a look. Let's have a look, see. Well, it's not been released yet by the look of it. But I'm sure they will have one. I expect there won't be too many miniatures in there, which is cool. So what's everyone up to this evening? Are you painting along, or are you watching stuff? 3 bikes, 2 units of sisters. Are you gold foot boys? Oh, cool. Is that the Sisters of Silence, is it? Ah, nice. Not actually been to Warhammer community and seen what's kicking about there yet. For those, I just saw the emails come through today. You can see here we've got these little straps on the wrist here, and they're still green from where I put the base coats on. I've not really done anything. That's because I'm going to do the skin first and then come back to those, because if I do those first and then try and do the skin, we're going to have nice brown straps with little bits of green dotted on them. So I am going to do the skin in between them first and come back and do those in a little bit. More wolf spears coming up. If you do see Jono on Instagram, he's been doing a wolf spears army, and there are some rather nice conversions going on there and green stuffing. I've been chatting with him, saying about how I have this horrible kind of phobia of using green stuff, because first time I tried it, I simply ruined what I was trying to do, and tried it again and I ruined it again, and I just can't seem to get the right kind of thing done to get that green stuffing going, which is a shame, because I'm only doing some Space Wolves and I'm not convinced that I'll be able to green stuff some fur onto them. But Jono's been doing a cracking job with some extra little bits to make some wolf spears with shields and all kinds of stuff. Green stuff and the fur on them, and they are looking really cool. no worries, man. The look and quality. So has anyone got up to any hobby this weekend? Jono, did he say you had a game? Well, Bjorn's been reenacting and beating his fellow reenactors with swords and shields, which is epic. Hey there, HTP Key. How are you this evening? Uruks. I so need to paint more Uruks. Seen any Middle Earth strategy battle games kicking about on the channel? You can probably blame Bjorn for those, because chatting with him a while ago about how I love the Lord of the Rings but didn't really know anyone who played it, and how I wanted some of the figures, and after years and years of avoiding it and chatting with him about the game itself, I finally succumbed and bought the Pelennor Fields box and now have a huge Uruk-hai army, which, like most armies, is not very finished at the moment. There's still some in boxes, loads part painted, loads just undercoated. But it has got me well into Middle Earth strategy battle game, because the miniatures are just class and the films are class, so it's a win-win for me there. Oh cool, man, another video coming up from Jono. Look forward to having a watch of that. Training Friday, first session back after Christmas with my ninjas. I finished that Magus. That Magus is great. Was that using contrast as well? Lots of contrasts? Because I know the Patriarch looked absolutely stunning. The end of April to get the Uruks done. I'll get them done somehow, by hook or by crook. Difficult to tell on this guy where the skin stops and the robotic bits start. I think this is the end of the skin on the face. We had a chat about hobby time and how it all comes together briefly yesterday, and it was interesting. A lot of people talking about different things and stuff like that, and like the way I do it is I have certain days where I do certain things, certain days when I plan to paint, but then, as someone said yesterday, I try not to be too strict or too hard on myself if I don't make those days paint and things like that. I used to really kick myself if I missed a day's painting because it put me behind a little bit with the videos. But after last year, where I had like long COVID and myalgia and fatigue and stuff like that, it really did knock me for six. And so I'm being a little bit kinder to myself this year. And sort of, if there's a night when I come to paint and I'm not really in that zone, then I'll probably do something else. But I try to do gaming on a Saturday with my brother and one of my pals who I used to play Warcraft with. Then I have like 2 nights where I chill with my family. Then I have 3 nights where I'm definitely painting, and then I have 1 night where I'm either painting or I go around to my brother's and we have a bit of a hobby night there, just paint some miniatures or build some miniatures. That's what's happening this week. And then if there is any chance of getting any hobby time during the day, I try and catch that as well, but that is very rare because we're working and what have you. Also need to fit in writing alongside all this painting as well, although the brain fogging is hampering that writing a little bit at the moment. But I try to do 4 evenings a week if I can painting. Doesn't always work, but that's how I try and work it, and if I miss 1 night, I try not to kick myself or beat myself up too much about it. So Stu says, less contrast than the Patriarch, but lots of shortcuts with the airbrush and wash stroke contrast mixes. Stu's been doing some painting on the was it the Deathwatch kill team or something like that? It was the Deathwatch box where you had the Gene Stealer cults when they first came out this time, and he's been doing some cracking work on the Gene Stealers from that with contrasts and mixes and washes and stuff like that, and they've come out really, really nice. So have you got any of them on your Instagram, Stu? I've made time 3 evenings a week. Try to get about 2-3 hours a night done on those nights. Yeah, that's probably about the same as mine, the nights that I do. Try and get about 2 or 3 hours done. So I'm going to do about 1.5 hours streaming this evening, and then once the stream's over, I am going to do some editing because I've got 2 or 3 videos there that I need to edit. So edit them and upload them, and see if I can get that all done so that frees up Monday night. I want to scrape mould lines off all my Blood Angels. No, Stu, you've seen my miniatures, you know I don't want to scrape mould lines off anything if I can help it at all. In fact, for all the painting that I'm doing on this guy, if you look underneath there, I just could not get that to seal over. So you have this nice big gap running the length of his stomach. But when you're playing on the table, you can't see that line, so I can't say that I care too much about that. There's the odd mould line, maybe the odd little gap, but if you come across them and they're not too noticeable, I tend to leave them where they are. Ah, cool. I'll link up some of these Instagram accounts in the description for this video once it's finished, if that's cool with you. Stu, Bjorn, Jono and Alice so far. So if you want to follow them, you can do. Some cracking painting and some cracking hobby stuff goes on all of those. Hey Underdog, how you doing? Underdog also does YouTube videos. He's got a good Instagram too. Plenty of paint and hobby stuff on there, so you can give Underdog a following too. Always feels a bit strange on a Sunday night doing anything like this, because I know that tomorrow I'm be in work, which obviously I'm thrilled about. So this is my nice end of weekend hobby relax. Yeah, cool man, I'll get everything linked up then, Stu. So yeah, Underdog, if you're happy, I'll link up your channel and your Instagram and stuff in the description for this video. And anyone else too, if you are about and you want me to share any links or anything in the description, then just let me know and I can add them to it. And if I don't have your details, if you just drop us a message on Instagram, if you're on Instagram, and I can add all those on, I can add them onto the description for this video. I think you should, Alice. She says, one of these days I'm going to upload photos of my army to my painting Insta. I'm just lazy. You should definitely upload some photos because you're a cracking painter. And also some of those Eldar are superb and I really want to see what you do with that ginormous avatar. Hopefully slaughter other people's armies and not mine. No problem, Jono. So here's something strange about orcs that I don't quite get, is they have the stuff about them being sort of like possibly spores or what have you, or kind of plant-based maybe, if that's the right term to use for them. Yeah, this guy is sitting on his squig saw and he has a nipple. I say he. Technically, if there's spores, it's kind of androgynous, so the beast boss could be, I don't know, what would you call a species where there's only one kind of sex or gender? I do not know. But yeah, so he has a nipple, which obviously you get when you're growing in a womb. So how does this guy have that? Also, being plant-based and stuff like that, they still have the red insides of mouths, which suggests maybe that they have red blood, which is why I always do red blood on them. But would they if they were greenskins? Who knows? The old Warhammer Fantasy roleplay book had an orc getting smacked in the neck with a dwarf's axe and the blood that was coming out was green. But for some reason I have always gone with red blood on the orcs. Also Steelers as well, I think. Ah yeah, the new Games Workshop one. There's been pictures of the hand, hasn't it? The bloody hand. Is that a mould line running down there? That's bad even by my standards. Okay, so this is what I tend to do, is when I find a mould line that I am not too keen on, even if it's mid-painting, you can still get that back up to the same colours with the original wire flesh, like so. That runs down the forearm too, how very annoying. Get out of it. See, this is why it's probably good for me to do streams, Bjorn, is that I won't sit there at my desk in the evenings on my jack and think too much about the ins and outs of plastic spacemen and plastic space women, because it's probably a little bit too much thought going into that than there should be. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm using Orc Flesh, which is a base colour, but it's a really, really nice colour, so I'm using it as the top layer on this guy. And it's a nice light, like a very, very light olive green maybe, but it makes all those details stand out so well against the Warboss green and the wire flesh. And it should be just light enough that if I do it onto the lips, he's got those sort of details on the lips and it's sort of like all in and out, it should be able to use a little bit of Vallejo red wash, this one, which is just amazing. I really, if I recommend any wash to anyone, I'd say this one is the best. I absolutely love it, because what you can do with this is you can make the areas around sort of studs on space marines or wounds on creatures like poxwalkers or plague bearers or anything like that, and it just gives it that red tint to make it look that little bit pink. So you can use like Carroburg Crimson right next to the wound. Sorry, Bjorn. What happens when my mind wanders. Start thinking about things far too much. But yeah, it's a great colour. I'll find an example of what you can use it for. So I showed this guy yesterday as well. This is the Captain from Imperium magazine. He's a cracking miniature, and it is slightly... Oh, there you go, you can see that quite well. You can see around the studs on his head there, he's got that little bit of red, and around each eye too. And also put some of the red wash on the lips as well, because it's thin enough that it'll leave that little hint of red, but it's got enough pigment that it will tint the lips so they're ever so slightly different colour to the skin. And also around the eyes and those studs, it'll add that little bit of pinkishness, just to make it look like they're slightly irritated. So did anyone get up to much hobby over Christmas and the New Year? Had time to get some games in or sit down and paint plenty? Next video, well, let's see, that'll be Wednesday. It is going to be I think it's possibly going to be that Black Templar chapter I've just shown there, the Imperium Captain. I'm painting a lot of Black Templars, or I say I'm painting a lot of Black Templars, I'm painting some Black Templars from my brother at the moment. I've got Helbrecht ready to go, but I need to do a few slightly smaller videos just to free up some time to then do the larger models like Grimaldus and Helbrecht, because they are huge miniatures, those, compared to the old ones. So for example, hey Nathaniel, how's it going? I hope you are having a good evening so far. Thank you for joining us. Just in case you've not seen Helbrecht and how big he is, we have Helbrecht here, and you have your standard intercessor. Let's see if we can line those up a little bit, like so. It's not only that, Helbrecht has two little mates. He's got one kneeling down behind him with a combi melter, I think it is, and he's got another one kneeling in front of him polishing the blade. And I couldn't not have the dead orc on the base. I couldn't just put that rock on. It seemed like a waste of a dead orc, so I thought stick that guy on. And I'm sure that sooner or later Helbrecht will be slaughtering my orcs with abandon. Yeah, orc blood vegetable soup. Could well be, yeah. I also read a whole Horus Heresy book in one weekend and did not paint. Come on. Get them on Audible or something like that so you can listen to the audiobooks and you can paint as well. Great stuff. Orcs could be another source of food for everyone. Not too sure fighting for food will be much fun, but might have to add some spices to it just in case. Some herbs, make it taste nice. Oh no, all my whole army is death skulls, so everything's blue except for these squigs. They're going to be done in the colours. This guy's going to be the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, and we have the likes of the squig buggies like this one, which is still a work in progress, which is going to be the same colour as the Jeeps from Jurassic Park. I'm going to be turning those logos into kind of the orc equivalent of the Jurassic Park logo. Then all the squig hogs are going to be the different colours of dinosaurs from Jurassic Park. He's on the Hero Games Workshop rock. Yeah, it has lifted him up quite a lot. That he's the rock makes him look absolutely huge. Yeah, they do need a new Dante. The old one's been around for quite some time. But here, this is something that I find ace, is when you look at Helbrecht. We'll get one of the Ball Sisters here. You see the size of him. Move them along there. Even stood next to them. The sisters are tiny compared to the Primaris. They are such good miniatures. It's such a great army too. Yeah, Primaris Sangard. That's another thing that's needed. That's what the only reason why I haven't got the firstborn Sangard is because I'm waiting for the Primaris size ones, hopefully. Man. That's a long time ago, 1995. Is 3.8. Thanks Moton22, thanks for the subscription, very kind of you. So yeah, 28 years old is that? came out when I was 25. Which is outrageous. That's a really old miniature. There's actually a lot of Blood Angels and Blood Angels Successor chapter people on here, which is quite cool tonight. Jono's got Angels Sanguine. And I've got the Knights of the Chalice. Bjorn's got some Knights of the Chalice too. Stu has the original Blood Angels. What other armies does everyone else collect? Now Lurch is working on Orc Boys at the moment. Which clan have you gone for, Lurch? Wolf player. Nice work, Underdog. Seven in 95. Ah, don't say that, man. 7 in 95. Wow. I think I was 17. 17 or 18, depending on what time of year that was. Ah yeah, the Void Ghost there looking cool too. The Wolf Spears as well. Yeah, Underdog did a nice conversion of a Space Wolf fellow the other day. I was chatting to him about, because I haven't really converted any of mine too much. I've just done some head swaps or added a few little bits from the old Space Wolf Firstborn type guys. So some of the like little trinkets and the what have you. We've done a nice conversion. Was it a captain, Underdog? 95. I joined the army. It doesn't feel like that long ago, 95, but it's, wow, it certainly is. So you'll notice I jump from piece to piece here when I'm painting. I'll do one part and then I'll work on another little bit and I'll work on another little bit. And it'll be sometimes that, like on this piece at the top here, so all those muscle fibres will be going up to the back of the head there. And I'll start doing all that and get a bit with it, and so I'll move on to something else. So I'll work on these bits, which will be kind of working on left to right there and going up to this top piece. I think I've cocked up this little bit here though, to be honest. So we'll do some nice horizontals on that. Get that going the right way. Curve those round like that. Still have a bunch of characters and models to paint to various Primarchs and Sisters and Chaos dudes. Get in. So it's a conversion of yourself, that's mega. That's like every game that I play where you can make a character. I always have to try and make myself. Fail miserably on many occasions, but that is quality, having your own Space Wolf. Have you got the original metal model, Stu? Because I got given one of those a while ago by one of my pals, and it's sprayed red, but I've never done anything more. So if you haven't got the original, then I can pass that over to you if you want it. going to use him to do the how to paint World Eaters video, but then ended up just using a normal Chaos Marine with a bolt pistol and chainsword. So just have that Khan model kicking about now. Oh no, you know. I'm sure they'll paint him sooner or later. One day, one day. So let's work on something else. This flesh is taking quite a while. After showing Mortarion yesterday, I put him on the shelf just to my left, and then as I was getting out of my desk, knocked him off said shelf, snapped off both his wings and one of the chains with the little Nurgle fellas on, and snapped off the other wing for the little Nurgle fella who'd already lost a wing. I was a bit disappointed yesterday, but you know, needs must. That's it. Too many models and not enough time is 100% right. Need a lottery win so that you can sit down and just paint them till doomsday without fear of starving or not having bills money. Yeah, Mortarion's not looking too hot at the moment. He's in pieces on the far shelf where he was, but I'm sure a bit of glue will sort him out. Like, I'll be able to get him fixed. Gabriel Seth. They need to do a Primaris version of Gabriel Seth. The day they make him is the day I'll probably do a little flesh Turris Force, because I think the original metal model was quality. Thanks for subscribing, Kevin Thornberg, much appreciated. Welcome to the stream. To anyone who's popped in or come to join us. I'm just working on this Beast Boss on Squig Saw. In an effort to try and finish some figures for a competition. That's enough skin for now. Grow weary of that. Right. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some of the leather strapping and stuff like that. And this is at the sides here. You can see where I've used some Baneblade Brown, which is a cracking colour. Love using this for doing leather and stuff like that. And using snakebite leather contrast. And we can just lash that on, and that will give you this colour here, which is what I'm doing all the leather seat and stuff like that with. But the contrasts are great for doing stuff like leather and kind of white stuff on miniatures, and black as well. The black Templar contrast, I use that to do the armour of Uruk-hai. I use it to do the black sections between the armour plates on Necrons, and I find that a lot easier and a lot more time efficient way of doing it than using like a black paint. The contrast just flows a lot better. You might have to give it another coat, but give it another coat if you need to. It still saves you so much time doing that way than doing actual black paint. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Jono is set against the Primaris, is he? I don't know too much about him since he's since they've done the Primaris. Is he not a fan of just the Primaris in general, or is there reasons to it, if you know? Once this Imperium magazine has run its course, I'm going to end up with 2 rowboats. I've got the 30k one. Painted up the 40k one when he came out for the blog many moons ago. And I passed that one to my nephew, who's got an Ultramarines army, and I will be painting the new one. For no other reason than I want to see whether my painting's improved, which I think it has done over the past couple of years. I'd like to see that. Bjorn says, I'm so tempted to say that I'm not buying any more models until my pile of shame's gone, but I still have 1.5 Dominion boxes to paint up and loads of Blood Angels, Uruks and Elves. So he's got reasons he doesn't want to be Primaris. So does that mean he doesn't want his flesh tears to be Primaris, or are they getting the nudge to be embiggened anyway? His wet palette's drying out quite nicely, but thankfully I've brought me bottle of water, or me thermal cup of icy water I should say. Splash a bit more in there. Ultramarine and red armour. Oh. What have we got here? Apologies for that. There we go. It's one of my reminders going off to remind me to do something I meant to do 2 days ago and still haven't done. So I've snoozed that for another day. I shall crack on with that at a later point. Right, so I'm just going to use a little tiny bit of Calidor Sky, which is quite a nice bright blue. I'm going to be doing some stripes on the Beast Boss's pants because I love just doing bright coloured trousers on orcs. We can grub them up and we can make them look dirty, but they need to be wearing stripy kecks or something like that. So to do with spitting the face of Sanguinius and his gift is hereditary rage, no blood link, no link to lineage. Self-destruction initiated the tap display to cancel. My loft nearly exploded then. Nathaniel. The alarm to give me the 5-minute warning for self-destruction. Thankfully I turned that off, so hopefully it shouldn't come back on again. It's like every normal human should. It'd be adding to the snoozers if it was a work one. I should say. So is that the thing? Because the Primaris, the Knights of the Chalice, there was a thing in the Codex that says about how they hoped that the blood rage wouldn't pass over, and it seemed to be going quite well, but eventually people started to succumb to the black rage and that, the blood rage. So I don't know whether or not Seth would be happy with knowing that some of the Primaris do get angry and become a bit fuming. That's a fair one. I want a plastic Lehman Russ, but I wonder if we'll ever see that. Yeah, I was looking at the Primaris Death Company. They all come each with bolters, and when I was talking to Stu a while ago, he was saying how daft he thought it was that they all came with bolters and that. So I looked up the rules, and you can change them over, but it just always seemed a bit odd that you'd have these crazed people wanting to fight up close and personal, and they're all armed with bolters. So I bought an Assault Intercessor squad, added some Blood Angels bits to them. I'm going to use those as the Death Company guys for my Knights of the Chalice, so there is going to be a Death Company video coming up soon. Yeah, that's what they were saying earlier, that the Primaris aren't as flawed as the originals, but whether or not it's all to do with a physical aspect to them being whatever chapter they are, or whatever successor chapter they are. Because you have the bits in one of the Blood Angels codexes from since Primaris have come out, where it says about them succumbing to the Black Rage, and there has been instances of it, so what that's about I'm not too sure. And they have some nice stripy pants. It gets wider on that side. So next up we want some Drachenhof Nightshade. I think the Primaris would look class with jump packs like, but then they have those other troops who drop from the sky, so I'm not too sure whether they have taken their place or what. But it would be nice to have some jump packs on them. Just going to put wing off, I'll look in the Blood Angel Codex just for a moment. What was that on the trailer, was it, or just an image or something like that they've put out? Just looking to see about that the Black Rage, and seeing how that comes across with the Primaris. It doesn't really seem to say too much. I'm sure it said it on one of the here we go, Blood Drinkers. I'm sure I read that somewhere. Rather than reading the whole codex again, I'll read that at another point and try and remember to put that on. Oh, got ya. Gameplay footage, nice. A huge outbreak of the Black Rage. The last time I fought him, he caused a huge outbreak of dead orcs, which is quite frustrating. Print some up for you as well if you want, Rob. Yeah, you can do if you want, yeah. If they're not going to cost you an arm and a leg or anything like that, or if they do, just give us a shout and I'll sort out some wedge for them. That could be handy. At the moment I'm tempted to get some Firstborn Death Company or Firstborn Space Marines, just because I bought the Storm Raven, the transport one, for the Lamenters, and I started doing Knights of the Chalice instead, and then reading through the rules after I bought it, I had managed to buy a vehicle which can't be used by Primaris, or it couldn't be anyway. So I'm hoping they change that, because otherwise I've got that Storm Raven just sat off on a shelf there until such time as I get a 10-man squad to fill it. Hey Jamie, how you doing? Good to see you. Gutted to have missed you when you visited Liverpool the other week, man. And how is the COVID? Sorry, that's slightly off screen there, you just see my hand. Okay, we are now going to Yeah, it's grim, isn't it? Not a nice Christmas present by any stretch. Yeah, not bad. I've the dose that I had just before Christmas brought back my fatigue, so I'm constantly knackered. I've got these really cool lines under my eyes you can't see at the moment. I've got 2 under each side because I seem to be permanently tired. But, you know, people get a lot worse than that, so I didn't get off too badly, to be fair. I think it brought the myalgia back again, but I'm on medication for that, though, so that's no problem. And I've just got a bit of breathlessness going up and down stairs, which is a pain. I had that originally last May, and it went away after about 3 to 5 weeks, about 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. And annoyingly, that's come back again. So I'm popping downstairs, popping back upstairs, and then being out of breath. Oh, you are an absolute star. Cheers, James. Yeah, still at the same address, man. How about yourself? Have you had any lasting effects or nothing so far? It's typical that, isn't it, though? Come to Liverpool, catch COVID. One of my pals, Joe, came up from Cornwall. I was in Manchester for a few days and we meant to hang out. And that was during the days that I got COVID, so didn't actually end up seeing him, which is a bit frustrating. But as I say, I know people are in a far worse state from it, so it's not all bad for me. Like, you know, I'm glad that I'm as well as I am for it, like. Yeah, I think I've got to wait 28 days before I can get my booster or something, because I just had it before Christmas. But yeah, I've heard some people have said it's made them feel a bit groggy for a few days, but they do anyway, don't they? You tend to get radio set. No saying wait out. The whole channel will be silent for hours. But cheers for coming on anyway, Jamie. Nice to see you. I can see there's 12 people on at the minute. No? Oh, happy days. Such a weird thing, the way it affects people in different ways, like even just the jabs. My folks, both in the 70s, like they have had all their jabs and had absolutely no effects from it. I know people you'd think are younger and fitter who've had stuff and have done. It's very, very bizarre. You can do, it's just from a place of comfort though. How's to Jamie? Need to put in for my booster again. I was booked in for Christmas too. I wonder how many people felt terrible from it just before Christmas. So let's have a little round up here. Whereabouts is everyone from who's on at the moment? You know, I know where a few of you are from, but is there anyone from around the world or not from the UK? Always intrigued to see where people are from and say hello. My palette is on Christmas Eve. How do you feel, Bjorn? Was he okay for Christmas, or was Christmas a bit pants? Wales, Middlesbrough, Germany. Oh nice, whereabouts in Germany? See him? If you shout loud, Stu might be able to hear you from ours. Cheers, Alice. That's class. Oh, Frankfurt, nice. A mate I always play game with on Saturdays. There's a guy we used to play Warcraft with. He's living in Dusseldorf. He's a cracking fellow. We played Warcraft with him for about 12 years. And now going through all the Tom Clancy games with him. It's class. I went to Germany years ago. Bit of a off topic and probably quite boring tale, but I went to Germany years ago to do a course, and I was staying in a camp by Gütersloh, which I'm not even too sure whereabouts that is in Germany. But when I've seen, like, you know, TV programs and stuff like that, and you see it's all snowy and things like that in winter, like, you know, looks really picturesque and stuff. And then I was at Gütersloh in August, and after seeing all those pictures of like snow and this amazing sort of, like, you know, snowy countryside and things like that, and it was like the hottest place in the world. It was just so hot. I got such a wild tan. My kit wasn't dry for days because it was just full of sweat. But it was an awesome place. Managed to go out into the town one night. And Gütersloh was a nice little place. Lots of nice bars, lots of friendly locals. Had a good time there. Had some jolly bar games as well, like where they had a big piece of wood and a packet of nails and a hammer. And you had to sort of like hammer the nails in without hammering your fingers in the bar, which sounds simple enough, but once you've had a few drinks, there's a lot of sore thumbs. I'm going to move back to a little bit of Calidor Sky now. Just start recolouring the stripes on his pants, because we've got that nice shade on there to do the darker sections. We just use some Calidor Sky and add some little bits of white to that, just to get some nice highlights and stuff on those kecks. I'm not even too sure whereabouts it is, Nathaniel. It's arrived by coach and left by coach. Journey's from the Shire. Oh, do you know, if the Shire was a real place, I would love to live there. Just looks incredibly laid back and relaxing and pleasant. So if ever anyone comes across the Shire, let me know where it is, because I am moving there. Advanced Studio, a pair of bananas are missing their pyjamas. Does that mean they're not running down the stairs? If you need me to explain that, Stu, sorry. That might be a really old thing. Tripping over hoblets is a real problem. and just look where you're going. So does everyone like Lord of the Rings? Oh, the MacBook is going to turn itself off. Wait with us 1 second. There we go. Faniel says, especially for tall people. I wouldn't have that problem. Not too tall by any stretch. Was it from the bananas in pyjamas that? Oh, sweet. It's terrible that I never actually read the books. I've tried to read the books and it's just too... I have quite an issue reading if it's too like in depth and in detail. Like you get some science fiction stuff which might be really, really detailed science fiction, which a lot of people like. I'd love to be able to read it. I do struggle with it quite a bit. And I found Lord of the Rings was like that. It was quite difficult going for me reading the books, so when the films came out I was made up. That's right, doing the stripy pyjamas running down the stairs, weren't they? Cheers, Stu. You've just given me a funny memory. The Hobbit. I found that dead interesting. When they first released that, when it first came onto one of the on-demand channels, I started watching it. I just couldn't get into it. It just didn't feel right. I watched the whole of the first one and didn't really watch the second and third one. And then while we were locked down with COVID last year and the year before, I thought I'll give it another go, and I watched all the Hobbit films and enjoyed them quite a bit, and watched them again a second time just to see again, confirm whether it wasn't just while I was very, very sick, and I did really quite enjoy them. Yes, Alice, I didn't read the books. I can't, there's certain types of writing I really struggle with reading, and unfortunately Tolkien is that kind of thing, that kind of I can't describe what it is about it, but I just can't. I find it a struggle to get through. I can read it and I know what it's saying, fine, it's just that I find it a real struggle to hold my interest. The trilogy in one weekend? My word. That's impressive, that, Alice. Top work with that. No worries, Bjorn. Thanks very much for joining us. A pleasure as always. Nathaniel, yeah, read Lord of the Rings but not The Hobbit, as the writing style is a bit of a drag. Yeah, I found I think it was the very, very start of it, where it's just talking about, is it concerning hobbits at the very start of the Hobbit book? What was that, the start of Lord of the Rings? I can't quite remember. I can just remember there being loads of stuff at the start which didn't, it was more like sort of like a bit of backstory or a bit of other information. And I don't know, I just couldn't quite get into it the way I can with sort of like maybe Terry Pratchett books, or because I absolutely love Terry Pratchett. It's one of the reasons that I write. because his books I find absolutely brilliant. Very, very funny books. Very funny books. Next streaming, I'd say definitely next Sunday, but I'll have to check and see what the script is and see what's going on. But I'll stick something up on YouTube as a premiere to let people know, and I'll drop you a message if you to let you know as well. I would say probably next Sunday though, for the time being, because I know that this week I'm going to have to try and catch up on some videos and get some little bits done, because I've fallen a little bit behind with having COVID just before Christmas. When the time that I would normally have spent doing one thing, I've spent doing another, and what have you. Shepherd's Crown. I'm pretty sure I've got that book. I don't think I've read it yet. I've got a copy of it over on the bookcase over there. Is it good? How's it read? Cheers, Bjorn. Have a good night. Is it a good book, Nathaniel? My favourite ones are the guards books. That's the thing that got me into it. The first book that I read was Small Gods, which has none of the guards and just sort of like more of a bit of a standalone. But when I read Guards, that's still my favourite book because it's just hysterical. Night Watch is quality. Top stuff. I'll have to give that a go. So it got to a point in life where I stopped reading for years. Like I used to read Pratchett all the time, all through my teens and into my early 20s, and then as it tends to do, life takes over a little bit and you stop reading. And it was just after I think Monstrous Regiment came out. That was the last one I read for quite some time. When I started doing my writing course years ago, I started reading Pratchett again, got back into the books. I started reading some of the newer ones, so, but never quite got to I can savvy that. Night Watch is a great book. It is a really good book, that. All the characters in them, like Nobby Nobs and Vimes or Veems, depending on how you want to say it, and Carrot, Angua. Just so many good characters and so many interesting and funny little hooks in the stories that you can't, can't not like it. I don't think. Did anyone see they did a TV series based on it, didn't they? I'm not too sure how that went down. I didn't see anything of it. So here I'm using a little bit of that red wash from Vallejo. You can see that kind of here. It is, you spread it out. It is really, really thin. Really, really watery. And you can just put that around the edge of areas where you have maybe open wounds or damage and stuff like that. It's also good for colouring in scars on skin as well. See around here where you've got the darker green, it doesn't really show up too well. So you could either do a few extra little layers, or you could use a little tiny bit of Carrot Crimson with that. Yeah, he's a brilliant character. absolutely brilliant. What I loved about him in Guards, what really made me like the watch books as a whole, the first part is like where the first thing about it is the way he looks at life. So he's looking at this dragon which is burnt down, I think it's a baker's or a fruit shop or something like that, and he's just looking at it like a normal crime and thinking about what the motive could be, which I just thought was cracking, because he's just looking at it like a copper and considering this huge great big dragon as just any other criminal, which I thought was brilliant. Really did tickle me, that. So I'm going around all these edges where you've got the metal bits going just straight into his skin, and giving those a bit of a wash with the red. Not too much, you don't want it to pool and have like big pink bits, but if you just go over it, it'll give it that little kind of pink hue, and you can just do that a couple of times and get it to as dark or light as you need it. So on the back here, that's right, it's brilliant. Item number 1. Trying to think whether the dragon had got something against the bakers or what have you. Cheers for coming, Jono. Really made up your ear. Good to see you. Have a good night. I'll catch you soon. Is that the where he's talking about the boot? He's saying you can buy a cheap pair of boots with cardboard soles and they last X amounts of time, but if you had the money you could get the more expensive boots which would last so many times longer. So if you're poor you can't afford the expensive boots, but you have to spend more money on cardboard soled boots. So it's like a false economy kind of thing, if that's the bit that you're talking about. And if it is, that was the second part I was going to say about what I liked about that book. Cheers, Duke. Great minds and all that. Pal Pete, who we game with on a Saturday, says in Germany, whenever we say great minds, he always tells us of the German equivalent to that term, which I think is zwei dumm, ein Gedank, I think it is. It's like our great minds think alike. In the Germany they say 2 idiots, 1 thought, which is, I just think that's a cracking term and use it regularly about myself. But yeah, feeling the cobblestones to find your way around the city, yeah. They're just such good books, they really are such good books. Anyway, so you can see that skin around where he's got there, you've got that, oh, move that down a little bit, you've got that kind of, see if you can get a bit more light on there, and knock that down, which is cool. Move that off the way. So yeah, you can see he has that kind of reddish kind of hue to the edge of the wounds, and that is just using that red wash from Vallejo. which I absolutely love. So if you wanted to make it look slightly more angry, you can then use a little tiny bit of, that's the one. That's one of the best sayings I know. Honestly, Nathaniel, that is such a great saying. Yeah, Mort's a cracking one. So now that we've done the red wash, we're going to use a little bit of Carrowburg Crimson and just go around the very, very edge of each of these bits, and that will give you that red bit looking a lot more tender, as though it's inflamed, maybe a little bit infected if you want to do a little bit on the edge of the skin too, rather than just the side of it. You can see the difference that makes to the face there, maybe. Trying to get that illuminated enough so that you can see it without it washing out the colour. See that maybe on the body a little bit better there, so I'll do some of the Carrowburg Crimson on the body so you can see that. Basically you want to be doing the inside edge of it, where you have that gap, and then a very slight bit on the skin. That sort of gives you that maybe infected or inflamed look to these red bits. Got a little nail in there, so we'll put a little bit of Carrowburg Crimson around those too. Orcs probably wouldn't be too bothered by these nails and the staples and stuff he's got on his head. Going back to the red wash once again. I'm going to be hopefully working on the Discord tonight, so I will give you a shout on the community page, or do a little video next week to say that it's going live and where it is and how to sign up and join up and what have you. So if you wanted to do that, then we can all talk miniatures on hobby, what we're working on and all that kind of stuff, which is cool. There seems to be quite a bit of interest yesterday to get some Discord stuff going, so I'll work on that tonight and tomorrow evening and get that going. Time we on. So I'll probably call it in about 15 minutes or so, which will be about just before 10 bells here in the UK. And then come on to do a little bit more of this. I'd say definitely next Sunday. A bit too much Carrowburg there. Definitely next Sunday. But I will also see if there's an opportunity during the week too. So I need to catch up on a few little bits of video. If I can get those all done and get that all set up, then should be able to do another little stream during the week too. If anyone's interested in that. If not, same time next Sunday, or maybe Saturday afternoon if I can get away with one on Saturday afternoon too. Other stuff that people like to read. I'm currently working my way back through the Horus Heresy books, which I'm really enjoying. yeah, cool. Cheers for joining us, Underdog. Nice to see you. And once again, everyone, if you fancy giving Underdog a follow, he does some cool tutorials, cool stuff over on his YouTube channel and also on Instagram, so I'll link them up once the video's finished, or once the stream's finished I should say. Right. In fact, we won't use that just yet. I was going to start doing some iron hand steel, but instead I am going to use Citadel Graxair shade, our old favourite, just to do a little bit of weathering on these metallic parts on his back, make them look a little bit more worn and nasty, since no one wanted them to look all shiny and chromatic. We'll go with the nicely weathered and rusted. Going to take more contrast between the squig and the orc. There will be, yeah, the squig itself at the moment is, it's kind of the rough. I use contrast to do a rough bit of colouring on the areas where it's going to be green and beige, and then those colours are going to be tweaked and lightened up as the highlights and stuff like that. There's also going to be more of this stuff coming down the back of it, because the colours are based on roughly the T-Rex from the first Jurassic Park, or maybe the second Jurassic Park. So we are going to have more kind of almost spiky stripes going down the back here, and they are going to be working up to almost like a Rakarth flesh with some highlighted colours. So there's going to be a lot of lighter shades, and around the mouth where he's got all these little bits here, there's going to be a lot more lighter parts, and then all this part is going to be, it's kind of, it's almost like this shade here, but I'm going to lighten that up as well, so it's, the green is going to be a different green to him, and this part is going to be more like Rakarth flesh and lighter on here. So it will have that contrast between them, and there will be a lot more colour with any look. It was just so I knew where I was trying to work with it, because I wasn't sure whether or not doing the squig as a Jurassic Park T-Rex would work. So I thought I'll contrast it, block the colours in, see how it looks, and it didn't look too bad. So once I've worked on them, hopefully it should look a lot better and stand out a lot better. That's the theory of it anyway, and time will tell whether it looks a bit ropey or not. Brought Horus Rising, Master Mankind. Oh, Horus Rising is a great book. It's a really, really great book. I restarted the Horus Heresy, listening to them on Audible sometime last year it was. I'm currently at No Fear, and they are such good books. I just think they're really, really interesting books. Like the sort of, you learn loads about the chapters and their interactions with each other and stuff like that, and how they were like before and after the heresy. But Horus Rising, the very beginning, is great. There's not really any of the series that I don't like, to be honest. Some are better than others, but I think for the most part they're cracking. Cheers, Stu. Thanks very much for joining us. Lovely to see you, and I hope you get a good kit before work. Hopefully you'll be able to have a scrap against the Jurassic Park orcs in the next month or two, because I might be using these for my crusade as well. So the way I apply the Graxair shade onto the silvery metallics is I try and get it in all the little creases that you have and the gaps between each part, and work it into those so that it's sort of like more like a recessed shade, whereas I put the Nuln oil all over I'll just do like a little recess shade of these ones and try and just darken down and muddy up those sections. Nice, Stu. Sleep well, man. And that just gives them that grimy look, as though there's like a build-up of dirt or what have you in those little sections. There's any bits like that that are quite low down, I'll just add a little bit more in there. So is anyone looking forward to any releases or any interesting stuff that they know about that's coming out soon? Looking forward to see you, Alicia. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I'll hopefully catch you during the week. Oi oi. A little bit of paint in there, Blue. Yeah, the new avatar of Kane, just from that little hand, it makes me want to see it, and if it's good, I want to paint it as well. I remember painting the old one years ago, probably quite badly, but I do want to have a crack at the new one. That Inquisitor looks great as well. I was quite impressed with that one. Yeah, well, I'll be doing more Battle Sisters soon. I was hoping to do a lot more towards the start of the year, because we're hoping to do a Crusade armies, and I was going to use Sisters for that, but then we entered a tournament, like a doubles tournament, where I'm doing Orcs for it, and because of sort of like the videos and stuff like that, I wouldn't have enough time to do the Sisters and the Orcs for those, for like a Crusade army different to the tournament army. When I say tournament army, it's not a really heavy list or something like that. It's a really fun list. It's quite daft, but it'll look dead funny on the tabletop, I think, and it should cause plenty of laughs for me and Chris, who's going salamanders with them. Because my armies are always they're just something fun, something I'll enjoy playing, rather than like, I don't specifically play to win, because to be honest, I'm not too sure. I've definitely lost a lot more than I've won, but I just enjoy playing. I don't really mind if I win or lose. So I've got quite a jolly little army for this tournament that's going on. But as I say, I didn't think I'd have enough time to do a Sisters of Battle Crusade army and Orcs for this tournament, so I'm just going to do Orcs from the Crusade. But there is Sisters of Battle stuff coming up. I've got quite a few of the characters. I also want to do one of each order as well. So we'd have, like, you know, Order of the Wounded Heart is the ones that I'm doing, but then you'd also have all the other orders, because there's the 6 main ones. I think I've gone with one of the lesser ones. I can't even think of Order of Our Martyred Lady, all those kind of ones. So I will be doing some videos on how to paint up the different ones, and also doing more on the Order of the Wounded Heart and some of the different miniatures that I've got for those. So there's plenty of characters to come. Got retributors. I would be tempted to do a tank, but they're so detailed that the video would either have to come in 2 parts or 3 parts, or it'd be about 5 years long. I probably wouldn't be able to edit that on my computer because it'd run out of space. But yes, there is definitely more sisters coming along. I have a drawer full just to my, oh, not a drawer full, but I've got lots in the drawer next to me. I intend to get onto them in the next couple of months. Got the dialogus, is it? This lady, she's ready to go, and I wanted to do one with one of the relics on the poles. I can't even remember any of the names. My brain is absolute mush at the moment, so I apologise if I pause mid-sentence. But the Canoness, is it? We have the Sister Superior for the Repentia. And I got this one, which I was looking forward to painting until one of my pals pointed out that she has quite a big hand, or appears to have quite a big hand, and now every time I see it, all I see is this large hand holding onto the thing. But, I mean, she's wearing big gloves. So we've got those 5 put down for painting so far. I've also got different battle sisters painted up so that we can do those as different orders as well. So there will be more sisters coming. Which order is it you're painting your sisters? HTP? Is it a specific one? Yeah, that's a whip. It's one of the reasons I love the Sisters of Battle is because they're quite a crazy, I think, army. They're not, whereas you sort of like the Space Marines are sort of like wild space zealots kind of thing, and they were always like the kind of brotherhood of monks, I suppose. And then you had the Sisters of Battle, who were the sort of like the equivalent but the nuns. And then you get the craziness of the Space Marines that comes with them being so, you know, anti-alien and all that kind of stuff. And then the Sisters of Battle, I think, go one step beyond that, where they have all these wild like machines and stuff like that, like things that they are using and things that they have on the battlefield, which are just not quite right, maybe, if that's the term to use it. So you have the Sisters Repentia, who are ones who've done something wrong, and some of them are blindfold, some of them have got these weird mask things so they can't talk. They've all got like little like daggery type things, or like little sisters iconography buried in the skin and sticking through. And then you also have, where are they? The ones I'm looking for at the moment shouldn't be that hard to find because there's 10 of them, but apparently they are hard to find. But basically can't believe I can't find them. The ones I'm talking about are the basically penitents who they've had their hands removed or what have you, and their lower arms are replaced with like electro lashes and stuff like that, and I think like power whips or something. And they all have these helms on so they can't see, and before they go into battle they get pumped full of chemicals so they all get crazed and just charge forward. The Immolator. The Immolator is a great tank. Oh, the Immolator, that's the name of the model. Is it? Is that the name of the model? Ah, the flame tank. Yeah. I have 2 of those up on the shelf. One of them I've played about with doing the stained glass window with reasonable success. Yeah. But I've not quite got them to the point where I'm happy with them yet. The only tank which I've done plenty on is the Castigator, and I've sort of been working on that in sections so I don't get too phased by it, because I find painting larger models I often kind of lose interest, or because you don't really see that progress that you do on a smaller model. Whereas you paint, say, a single Space Marine or a single Orc or something like that, you'll see how much you've done in a matter of hours, whereas on a tank you could spend a good few hours on it painting one of the colours, and when you actually look at the miniature after those few hours you can't really tell that you've done that much, and I think that puts me off a little bit. But I am trying to get better at that, and I am trying to do more vehicle stuff, so you may well see little bits of vehicles cropping up this year too. Oh, Penitent engines as well. Another lovely item that the Sisters of Battle have. And they are the engines where they strap in a penitent to the front of it, pump him full of chemicals, and he goes forth on this little weird walker, which is got bits of wood on. It's got all these like syringes going into his back that's pumping him full of chemicals. There's just so many little things that they have in their army, which if you looked at it, if it was like in real life, people would be up in arms, because it's just absolute craziness what they're doing. But I really like it for that. It makes them like a little bit twisted and a little bit tapped, and you're thinking, yeah, they're fighting for the Emperor, doing some good stuff, you know, but they're doing all these little weird things as well that aren't really that good. No worries, Jamie. All the best, man. Good to hear from you. Good to see you. Hopefully get to see you soon. If we can hang out without catching COVID, that'd be well cool. And yeah, we've gone to the 2-hour point, so I think I'm going to call it there tonight, guys. And we shall be back on. I'll aim for Sunday at 8 o'clock. I'll put a thing up on YouTube for that. And then if I can get some time during the week, I might dive on for a short one night this week. See how that goes. But as always, it's been a massive pleasure painting and chatting with you. It's nice to be able to chat in real time rather than just the comments on the channel, so thank you all very, very much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. Just quickly, HTTP key. I'm probably going to paint Order of the Martyred Lady once I've bought the box set. Sound, good choice. I will try and get an Order of the Martyred Lady one done up soon, because I've got a sister painted or based for each of the major ones. So we'll try and get some of them up, because the sisters, they've been neglected for too long. I got loads of them when they came out, because I absolutely love the miniatures, love the idea of them, and they have been neglected for too long. So I'll try and get some more of them done up in the next couple of months. But thank you all very much. Cheers, Nathaniel, good to speak to you. You too, Duke. It's nice to have company when painting. So thanks very much for joining us, and I'll see you all soon. If I can just get this thing to